All right. Hello and welcome. Here we are to the 5 daily rituals for success over stress. And I'm super excited to share this. This is something where some of you may have heard me kind of share some of this stuff before, but it's not something I've really gone full in depth on, of having these different rituals or routines throughout the course of a day to keep you focused and keep you really structured. Now, I'm a scheduler. I love to schedule. I love to make sure that I have things that are organized throughout the course of a day. I love to be able to follow a routine because I know that when I have those things set up, I'm way more productive. And any one of us have done this before, where we know that when we're way more productive, our confidence goes up, our energy goes up, we start to, it creates momentum to create more. And that's the beauty of it, is that we can create that snowball effect of creating more in our lives. So what I'm going to give to you today is really a lot of tools. And I'm going to kind of warn you right away. People talk about like the fire hose. Sometimes don't be overwhelmed by a fire hose of information. I want to give you this landscape. I want you to be able to see kind of this vision of what is possible in your life for being able to essentially control your energy throughout the course of a day, course correct your energy throughout the course of a day, pattern interrupt yourself throughout the course of a day. This is one of those things where it's not just because of what's going on in the world right now. It's one of those things that it's a matter of most of this is going on in people's lives well before the situation that's taking place in the world right now. And it will take place well after this, which is people become overwhelmed. People become stressed. People become easily distracted. Especially right now, some people are fatigued or even like borderline depressed as a result of things that are going on. So with all those types of situations taking place, we've got to be able to see a different vision for where we can go. Well, where can I go? I could actually be more productive. I could actually have more energy. For some people, this has been an opportunity of more time in their lives to get things done. So there's this opportunity to go from maybe stressed and distracted to ultimately focused and productive. And again, when you hear those words, you almost kind of go, crap. I mean, I was living this life before COVID. And if I don't start to change the habits now, then I'm going to continue to live the life after COVID. And one of the coolest things that I've been able to see and be witness to over the last 8 weeks is people really stepping up, is people really taking the bull by the horn, so to speak, and finding this deeper next level in them. So it's no longer a cliche statement that you might hear at a seminar, but it's actually something that's really happened. People have had this fraction of time to work on things, and they've worked on it and grown from it. Some of you know I created the 4 phases way back in March, or I guess it was March, when all this stuff started. And as a result of those 4 phases, the people who have implemented it, I have seen them grow leaps and bounds in an 8-week period of time during a pandemic. I mean, that's why, because people have found a way to take information. So not just learn information and go, oh, that was great, this is so cool, but take information and actually implement it in their lives. And as a result of that implementation, getting results. Everybody should do that for me real quick. Like, you mean you actually take the information, implement it, and get results. Oh my gosh, what a novel concept. So some of you have used that, the 4 phases that I created. The cool thing of the 4 phases is it still works. Like, it works through the course of the year. It's something, if you look at it, you should cycle through it every 3 to 4 months, and you'll find that it continually helps you to find ways to raise your game. So what I want this to be is not just an opportunity for us to talk about some of these strategies, but then also implementing them in your life when you walk away here today. Now, full disclosure, I'd love it if people want to join me well after this conversation today. So I'm letting you know that right now too. This is the type of stuff that I get jacked on. It's the type of stuff that I get excited about. I love to produce. I love to take action, and I love it when other people take action, because then I got an email from a doc a couple weeks ago who said, dang, what you told me to do works. I wish I would have done it sooner. And I did one of these again. I was like, oh my gosh, you have to be kidding me. You just fought me on it and fought me on it. All of a sudden he goes and does it. And I've had a couple other people do this to me as well. And it's just crazy. Then I have people who are non-clients who are taking the information that I've given them, and they're emailing me. They're like, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world. I've implemented what you told me to do, and it works. And here I go again. You got to be kidding me. It worked? Really? It's so crazy, folks. But it's one of those things where we don't need more information. And if you've ever heard me talk about this before, I've said it a million times. It's not that we need more information. We need more implementation. How can I implement the things that I'm learning? And so as I share this information with you here today, if you implement even a portion of it, Just a portion of the information is going to help you to grow and expand. Just a portion. And then you have to use your own imagination and say, wow, so I can get these results from 5 to 10% information. What would happen if I went all in on myself? What would happen if I actually invested my time, effort, and energy into going all in on myself and finding yet again another level in my life? So I'm going to share this information with you here today. It's all about implementation after the fact. Again, it might feel like a fire hose, or I guess a really powerful garden hose. Don't be stressed by that. Simply listen, take notes, and then at the end, I'll open it up for questions. If you have any questions for me, I'll open it up for those questions so that you have an opportunity to get some answers as well. And we can really, really move forward on an implementation plan so that in the next 60 days, and that is the target I want you all thinking, is in 60 days, you are at another level. And so for those of you who filled out the questionnaire that I sent out, you might even have an idea of what that looks like and even some of the actions that you need to take. For those of you who didn't, it's okay. But it's one of the conversations that we need to have before moving forward. You got to know what you want. I can teach you 5 different strategies that you can implement throughout the course of the day, which are super simple in theory, but in implementation, they're not, because people will go back to a place of overwhelm and stress. And so if I have targets that I want to hit in my health, if I have targets I want to hit in my business, if I know that there are specific things that I want to work on, then I can utilize these routines through the course of a day to keep me on track to actually hit my targets. Anyone here ever get distracted throughout the course of a day? For those of you who've put on your cameras, thank you. If you've just joined us, please feel free to turn on your camera. We love seeing mugs around here. So feel free to turn on your camera and show us your mug. But we all get distracted in the day. Have you ever gotten distracted in the day and then realized 30 minutes went by or 45 minutes went by and you were like, holy crap, what have I done with my time? Or am I the only one that's ever done that before? Right? It's like, oh my gosh, what just happened right now? And then again, it's worse now because of everything that's going on in the world. So you either go down a place of depression if you're looking at Facebook too long, or you go down a place of hope if you're looking at it too long, or they collide. There's hope and there's depression, and they like collide, and you're totally distracted and you're sucked in for an hour. Like, oh my God, I got nothing done. And so there has to be a pattern interrupt, a self-induced pattern interrupt. It means you have to be mindful in your life. It means you have to be very mindful of the moments that you're in and the ability for you to course correct the moments, which is why in the initial questioning paperwork that I sent out to everybody, what's one of the questions I asked? What are the things you need to stop doing? That's mindfulness. It's awareness of knowing that these things I'm doing right now are not empowering me. They're taking me away from where I want to go in my life. And then what are the things I should start doing? Because if you just did those 5 things that you wrote down of things that you need to start doing, it would already significantly change your life, your energy, and the efforts that you're putting out on a daily basis. It's about having that awareness though. And when we go and we dive into Facebook, or we go and we dive into, God, I hope not, mainstream media, and we go into all these different avenues, what happens is we lose our mindfulness in our lives. We lose a focus on our lives, and we dive into that unreality that they're portraying out there. And that's where the virus, the virus actually invades your mind and you spiral downward. So you can see why it's so important that you have to be able to collect your thoughts. You've got to be aware and mindful of what you're doing in each moment of the day, now more than ever before in your entire life. Because then you turn around and you have relationships that you have to mind. You have staff in an office to run that you have to mind. You have, go over here. You have, you have your relationships, you have your own health, you have your business, all these things that require your mindfulness. But if the virus has affected your mind, you're now out of the game. And what happens is you try to survive it on raw energy. And anybody who's ever tried to survive something on raw energy before knows this. It only lasts for so long before it crashes. Then you have to find a way to pull yourself back out again. So we're going to go down this path of these 5 daily rituals. For those of you who have just joined us, welcome. Feel free to show your face. We'd love to see faces. There are a couple brave people who have shown theirs, and you can obviously see that I am showing mine because I like to look at me. So I get to see me twice, one live and one in picture. But we're going to dive in. If you feel overwhelmed, don't. I'm just going to give those people who came on again. Feel overwhelmed, don't. Number 2, be thinking throughout this entire process of what are some of the things that you really want to start to accomplish in your life, and think about them in terms of a 60-day period of time. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So The first one that we talk about, and anybody who knows me knows that I am like a diehard for this. The first habit or routine or ritual is your morning success ritual. It is the ability for you to get up in the morning and completely get yourself to a place of power. I'm going to highlight this word, power, to get yourself to a place of power. Because some people talk about a morning routine. They talk about their ability to work out in the morning. They talk about maybe doing some affirmations or maybe a little bit of Bible time, but they never talk about the power that they receive from it. And that becomes the part that becomes the biggest, deepest element to look at. You get up in the morning and you put yourself into a routine, into a ritual that is going to create power. Those of you who have worked with me know that we do a core 4. And the core 4 is basically, for those of you who don't know this, is we're shooting for 4 points. We want to get 4 points every day. For 7 days, it's 28 points. And what's so cool about this is that I have seen people get a 20 to a 21 out of 28 points at the end of the week, and they're killing it. Why? Because their power that they get from their morning routine is very high. I've also seen people do 28 out of 28 for a week, and they're doing okay. Why? Because they're going through the motions in their morning routine, and it's affecting their overall energy through the week. Think about this. When I was a kid, they used to say breakfast was the most important meal of the day. Now I skip it because I do intermittent fasting. But back in my day, they used to say breakfast is the most important meal of the day, right? And so if you look at it from a mindset perspective, you go, you know what? My preparation of my mindset is the most important time of the day. It is the absolute most important time of my day. Because if I can put myself into a place of power in the morning, I can proceed with power through the course of the day. But here's what's important to understand. And I don't have the exact number, so I apologize to you for this. But in terms of willpower and your ability to basically say no to things and stay focused on things decreases. And this isn't going to surprise anybody either. I just don't know if you've maybe never thought about it. Your willpower decreases as the day goes on. That's why you hear people say they wake up in the morning, they work out right away, because in the afternoon, if they say they're going to work out in the afternoon, 9 times out of 10, what happens? They don't work out, right? Oh, I'll do this later. I'll put this off until later. And it never happens, because as the day goes on, your willpower goes down. And what happens? Distractions go up. So you wake up in the morning and you put yourself into a place of power, into a framework, a mindset of power. What are some of the things that we do? Again, for those of you who don't know a core 4, I'll make it very simple. You work out and you have a green smoothie. Now for me, since I'm doing intermittent fasting, I have to go until 12 noon without eating. And I've since changed my intermittent fasting, which is super cool, because now I'll go up to 20 hours of intermittent fasting. So I simply have to stay in the realm of my intermittent fasting, and that counts for me as my smoothie. Even though I'll have a smoothie later, it's way easier to have a smoothie than it is to intermittent fast. So I raise the bar on myself with my intermittent fasting, and I work out. I also meditate every single day. I also do memoirs or journaling every single day. I also send my wife, my kids, my mom, my dad, my brother, and my clients a private message every single day. So that is actually only supposed to be my wife and my kids. And I've since changed it with all this stuff going on. It's like, screw this, I'm up in my game here. Michael and Janice know I have now for over 2 months sent messages to our clients every single day via text. Every day. For accountability, for love, for connection, so we know we're in this together, for community. So they're a part of my morning routine, which gives me power. And then there is study. What am I studying? What am I working on? And then what am I declaring? So I might put a post on Facebook, or my post might be to clients. My post might be to my wife. And so there's 8 different tasks there that I've just shared with you. Each one is a half a point, which totals 4 points. That's it. Now, I also do other things like affirmation. I also do other things like pray. But I have this routine in the morning, and its sole purpose is to put me in the right mindset and focus for the entire day. And I have a list of things, because sometimes some of these things in this core 4 don't always resonate with people. So we can plug things in to identify what's going to give you power. If I can start my day in a place of power, I now have an opportunity to launch into that day. And again, if I realize If I realize that probably my willpower is going to go down as the day goes on, that's why there is a need to have additional routines and habits in place throughout the day so that you can keep yourself afloat. So that if you start to see that your energy is waxing and waning and you're starting to lose the focus and you're starting to lose the power, you can course correct yourself almost instantaneously. So that is ritual or habit number 1. And I will give a side note here. If you look at habits, again, this is why I want to reference this again. This is why we go back to what are the 5 things that you're doing right now that are not supporting you. They're disempowering you. They're draining your energy. Those are habits. You have a morning routine already. You have habits in your morning, and you might be going through the motions on your morning routine. Guess what? It's time for you to create power from that morning routine so that you can tackle the day. Now, we move on to the next one. The next one is your lunch ritual, an actual lunch success ritual. Now, here's what's super cool about lunch. Lunch, for me, years ago, it used to be as simple as this. I'd go home from the office. I would work out. I would then read the Bible, meditate, and go back to the office. And then before I start seeing patients, I would write down 3 names of people that I just had this amazing love and gratitude for in the moment. Like their names would just pop into my head and I would just write down their names. I would close my eyes and I would essentially just do some deep breathing, focus, and gratitude towards them. And then I'd be ready to go. The idea with your lunchtime routine though, is to take it a step before that, before going into a routine. You don't necessarily have to have 10 things to do. This is not about a core 4 and trying to do 8 things at lunchtime. What this is about is the understanding that most of us here have a habit, a lunchtime habit. You eat, maybe you're scrolling Facebook, maybe you're scrolling Instagram or Twitter, maybe you're watching TV. Deepak Chopra once said, just as important as what you eat is the frame of mind you are in while eating. So what's the frame of mind that you are in while you're sitting there and eating? And how are you closing out your morning? Are you actually closing out the morning, letting it go? Maybe you had an amazing morning. Have you evaluated? What I can tell you is most people don't. This is why I recommend huddles at the end of a shift, because you should be talking about your victories. You should be talking about things that went really well. Maybe talking about, unfortunately, some of the things we might need to change in the afternoon. But what are the things that we did really well? And we leave the office on that high note so that we have our energy has been elevated, so that we're focusing on what went good today. Don't you want to go to lunch focusing on what was good? And especially with what's going on now, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you take the moment to focus on what's good, what's right, and where it is that you want to go? So when I come to lunchtime, before I do anything, and you can write this down if you want to, you don't have to though, but it's a matter of making this a part of the lunchtime routine that says, what was my greatest challenge this morning? What were my greatest victories? Now I want you to notice I said challenge, 1, victories, plural. Typically, when I look at victories, I go for 3. What were my 3 victories? What was my challenge this morning? You know what? Got on Facebook and I did this, and it really distracted me from my patient care. What was my victory? Well, when I noticed I was on Facebook, I turned it off, number 1. Number 2, I sat down and wrote down 3 names of people that I really love, honor, and appreciate. And number 3, I actually sat for 30 seconds and took 1 to 3 deep breaths. I don't know how many you would take in 30 seconds. I took a couple of deep breaths and really got myself regrounded. I said a prayer and I got back to work. And I was actually way more productive the second half of the morning than the beginning. By the way, I'll be sharing something with you in a little bit that you can do in that midway point in the morning. So I'm simply doing a reflect. Again, those of you who know me know I love reflect and project. So I'm simply reflecting on my morning and what went well. And then I can project now and turn the sights towards the afternoon. How do I want it to go? And if you had a challenge this morning, okay, here's what the challenge was. What was the solution? And I identify with the solution, because when I identify with the solution, I have another victory. So now I have a solution, I have multiple victories, and I get to use that to fuel my day moving ahead. You can then ask yourself the next question, which is, what do I want to focus on this afternoon? Or what will be a win for me this afternoon? So now you're answering a question to give a focus and an intention for your afternoon. You see, everything, if you go back to what I said here, what? Mindfulness. Are you being mindful of your day? And if you're going to lunch and you're not being mindful while you're eating and you're surfing, social media, or you're tired or you're groggy or you're running errands, there's nothing mindful happening there. There's nothing that's focused on your growth and expansion. It's going through the motions. So I sit at lunch and I say, I'm going to get myself focused. And I'm going to eat my lunch slow and enjoy it. And maybe put on some, you can't hear it right now, but even in the background here, that is from an app called, I believe it's In Focus or iFocus or something like that. And I leave this in the background all the time. It's supposed to help me with focus. So maybe you're sitting and eating and you turn on just some no talk radio, not even, Poison or Hootie and the Blowfish, some of my favorites, but just calming music that allows you to just sit and be and enjoy your food. And then you ask yourself these questions if you haven't already, and you say, okay, man, what would be a victory here for this afternoon? What would be the win? I want to get to the end of the day, and this is what I want my win to be. And so now you're breaking your day up into segments. And then, of course, many of us want to do something like meditate at lunch, read, affirmations, send notes of gratitude to people. These are great. If you're in the office and you're eating in the office, maybe you pull up, 3 people's names and addresses and you write them a note, handwritten note on a card, and you send those notes out. Maybe you do one a day. Maybe you do some reading, uplifting reading, motivational, inspirational, leadership, some type of reading that will really get you going. Maybe you listen to a podcast. There's this guy that does one called the Commit and Go podcast. It's pretty good. I'd check it out if you haven't already. You go listen to a podcast. Maybe it's, again, sitting in deep breathing. There's so many different things that you can do. EFT, one of our clients, his challenge for the next 90 days was to learn EFT. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love it. Like, he said it and I sat with it for a while and my heart was just like, you need to dive on that. That sounds amazing. And so that's become my challenge for this second quarter, was to learn how to do EFT, emotional freedom technique, for those of you who don't know it. You do some tapping. Like, wow, that's super cool. So all of a sudden, maybe lunchtime is when you dive in and you start learning those sorts of things. See, there are habits. And again, I have a list. I just don't want you to be like overwhelmed with these things. But what are things that I can do that would give me power at lunch, that would then focus me enough to go into the office, back to work, and be able to get my team focused? Or if I'm at home, what can I do that will get me focused with my family so that we're all moving forward on the day? And again, we're not just going through the motions disconnected. And once I've cleared that, now I go into the afternoon and we have the end of the day review. Now, this routine is extremely, extremely, extremely important. Again, it's a reflect and project. I do this every single day. It is my journal, and inside my journal, I'm going to go back to the back here. In my journal, at the end of every single day, I review the entire day. I want to know exactly how this day went. I want to know if I fell off track, and if I did, what did I do to get myself back on track? I want to know what my victories are. I want to be conscious of it. I want to be deliberate about it. I want to be mindful of what I did today. Otherwise, you're just checking the boxes on your life. You're just living day to day. You're not even living. You're just blindly walking day to day, going through the motions, as opposed to being mindful of the way that you want to live, being mindful of what you want to create, being mindful of closing the day off. And this is one of the biggest things. If you're at the office, you want to know one of the best ways to not bring the office home with you? Boom. Do an end of the day review. Do an end of the day. This is my office at home. I'm right now recording this from home. At the end of the day, when I do this, and I set my pen down and go downstairs, I'm done. I mean, I am done. I'm not thinking about work. I'm not thinking about podcasts. I'm not thinking about videos. I'm not thinking about, my work is done here. I'm downstairs and connecting with my family. Because you finalized the day. You've drawn the line in the sand and said, work is done. I'm going to go now and invest my time, my effort, and my energy in my family. And you solidify that time. So if you're a person who's working from home, I've got clients up in Canada. Slowly but surely, people are starting to get back into work up there, but they're at home every single day. Guess what they have to do? Boom, draw a line in the sand. This is when I'm done working. That's it, 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. This is when I'm done working. And then you go through, and I have on here, I will read it to you. Core 4 completed, my morning routine. Was it completed today? Yes or no? Did I stack today? Some of you know what this is, some of you don't. Not really important for this discussion, but it's a mindset tool that we use. Did I stack today? What zone did you finish your core 4 in? So did I finish it in the morning, or was I chasing it throughout the course of the afternoon? Chances are, if I'm chasing it throughout the day, guess what? My power is probably doing this all day. Because chasing it is only going to, I'm just going to lose energy. I drop energy as I'm chasing after something. Think about it. If I go outside and I'm running and I'm trying to chase a balloon that's flailing around in the wind, eventually you just get tired. You just get tired. You don't feel like chasing it anymore. And people do this with their routines. Oh, I'll do it later today. And you get to the end of the day, and the number one thing that people say is they don't have what? Time, or they're too tired. Oh, I'm just too tired right now. Why? Because you've been chasing things all day. Which means it's time to get control of your life and the actions that you're taking and the things that you're focusing on and working on and getting them done sooner, not later. And so I can go through here and I say, where did I start my day in power? My favorite, these next 3 things are my favorite questions in this book. Where did you start your day in power? And on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the best. Where are you ending your day in power? And then where did your power shift and how did you get it back or keep it on track? This is huge. Again, because people are not living a mindful life. So they might get up and they go, oh my God, today's a great day, woo! And they go about life, but they don't catch that at 12 o'clock today, somebody texted them and they were mean, or you went and read something on Facebook and it upset you. Nobody is mindful of that moment. And then still they go, man, I woke up and was having such a great day. And it just, I don't know, I just felt off today. Again, because there's not these daily routines that have been set up. You set up the daily routines, you have an opportunity to course correct your mindset. You have an opportunity to pattern interrupt where you are at any point of the day. And when you start thinking this way, you're deliberately looking for, yeah, where did my energy shift today? I started as a 2.5. I'm at a 3.5. Where did it shift today? I started at a 3 and it's at a 4. Where did it shift today? I started as a 4 and it's a 3. Where did I shift today? And what did I do about it? You become mindful of the things that are distracting you and pulling you off track in your day, which allows you the opportunity to course correct. If you're willing to reflect and project on your day, reflect what happened today, project where you want to go, you'll become more mindful of the moments that are throwing you off track, which means you'll also become more mindful of the new habits that must take place. And the more, again, you're practicing habits every day anyway. So it's not stop doing this, it's start doing this. Because the more that I can drown out the old habit with a new habit, the easier it becomes. Think about this. The brain doesn't like the negative. Stop doing something, but I enjoy doing it. There's so much pain associated. The whole pain pleasure principle. As opposed to, I have this new habit I'm going to focus on this week. So when I teach a morning routine or even the lunch thing we're talking about right now, what would happen if you just added one thing at lunch for the next 5 days? That's it. Just one thing that you know could empower you over the next 5 days. What would it be? And you focus on that next thing. You create the new habit. You create momentum with the new habit, and it becomes easier to habit stack, which is to start adding additional habits on top of the ones that you've already started. Then what happens? The old habits wash away. They never leave you, by the way. As we all know, because as stress goes up, we tend to resort to old habits and behaviors. We typically end up negating the new stuff that we just started doing, even though we know it works. We end up negating the new stuff because it's easy to go back to default. And I've always shared this over the years. I said, but the cool part is that over time, it might take you this long. Brian, we've talked about this before, right? Like it might take you this long to recover, but over time, as you learn the new habits, the amount of time that it takes for you to recover closes. The gap gets tighter. And what might have taken you a week a couple of years ago now takes you 10 minutes in a day because you're implementing the new habits. That's why what we're talking about is a life. It's a way of life. It's a way of living that creates this empowerment in your life. So as I look at my end of day routine, we then go through, what did you do today? What was your victory? 3 victories. What was your challenge with solution? What was your greatest lesson? What is the greatest lesson that you learned today? You write it down. I'm being mindful of my day, and I'm being mindful of the successes that I've had. What are your new targets, actions, or focus for tomorrow? So this gives you an opportunity. I'm a planner. I schedule my week every single Sunday, all right? But what's cool about this is that because stuff does happen, maybe I get more done, maybe I got less done. This question in that box right there allows me to be able to identify with maybe a piece that I missed of the puzzle that I need to implement tomorrow. Or it just A lot of times it's just keeping me on track. As I look at the day and I look at what I have on tap for tomorrow, all right, I'm on track, but here's where I need to go. Here's the next step for tomorrow in the work that I'm doing. And then finally, what are the possible obstacles or solutions? Possible obstacles and solutions. So I write down the obstacle that I see for today or for tomorrow with a solution. So I don't go into tomorrow going, man, I already know this is going to be a problem. Son of a gun. All right, well, I'll deal with it tomorrow. No. I go into today, I look at it today going, here's the possible problem. Here is my solution. This is the solution to this problem, which means I'm going to be more effective at getting it done tomorrow. Then I can close the book and be done. Now, again, for some of you, if you're doing this at the office, it's not as simple as just close it as done and be done, because I want you to go home and be with your family. I want you to go home, be connected to your spouse. I want you to go home and be connected to your loved ones. And so finishing this completes a cycle for the left brain, but now I want to pull the right brain into it and say, let's get a little bit more connected on a spiritual level. Maybe you end the day with a prayer and just thanking God for all the people you got to serve today and for the life that you're getting to live. Maybe it's a matter of sitting down and just doing a few affirmations before you leave your business. Maybe it's a matter of just a lot of times, like I love doing this. Like you go stand on an adjusting table and do some affirmations to end your day. Maybe it's a matter of writing notes of gratitude. Maybe it's a matter of sending a text to someone and just saying, hey, I love, honor, and appreciate you. Just wanted to let you know. But something that allows you to go to this place of gratitude, something that allows you to basically close the day down, but from a positive light, from a place of love, from a place of gratitude, from a place of peace. And imagine if you left your office that way every day. But most people are more interested in turning the light off and getting out the door than they are actually putting themselves into a mindful presence in their businesses and closing it down with gratitude. I remember, this goes back sometimes when I was all by myself in practice. And the CAs would walk out first because I would always stop, look back over my shoulder and say, thank you, God, for an amazing day. And then I would turn the light off. Like I just want to be the last one to say anything in the office. I want to be the last one to put the gratitude out there before I walked out. What's the routine and the habits that you have for closing down the day? Are you reflecting and projecting? And are you putting yourself in a place of power? So now when you go home, there is no reason to sit and talk business. There is no reason to sit and talk about things that you want to work on for the practice tomorrow. What it creates is an opportunity to go home and just connect with your loved ones. Just connect with your loved ones. To go enjoy time with them and go enjoy the fruits of your labor. That is the reflect and project. So now let's look at this real quick. We've got a morning routine. We've got a lunch routine, which you already have a lunch routine anyway. So we want to shift your lunchtime habits. We have an end of day routine, which is I share it with you. You kind of go, crap, I already have one of those too. You do, but is it creating power for you? And then we go to the nighttime routine, which is known as a bedtime routine. And guess what? You've got one of those too. Hopefully you brush your teeth. You probably go to the bathroom. Maybe you put on some PJs, whatever it is. I don't want to know what you wear to bed, but I think you get the point, right? Like you have this routine that you're going through at bedtime anyway as well. And it becomes a matter of looking at your bedtime routine. Where am I on this scale for my bed? When I go to bed, am I in an energetic place? Am I tired? Am I distracted? Have I been ignoring my family tonight? What are the things that you're doing when you go to bed at night? And so bedtime becomes a preparation for tomorrow. And so if all you're doing is brushing your teeth and, maybe getting a drink of water and going to bed, that's great. That's just called the bedtime routine. What if you had a bedtime success ritual that said, I'm going to do some affirmations before I go to bed tonight. I'm going to do some gratitude before I go to bed tonight. I'm going to do some prayer, which a lot of people do the prayer ones. They go, oh, I've already got this. Are you mindful of what you're doing, or are you saying a prayer so you kind of like get the check mark next to prayer tonight and going through the motions? And this is where people become challenged. This is exactly where they become challenged because they look at something like a bedtime ritual and they go, oh, well, I am praying and I'm reading the Bible. It's like, cool. What are you doing with that work? Are you discussing it with your spouse? Are you journaling it so you really, truly understand and appreciate what you read? Or are you reading it and you're like, okay, cool. God, check mark, dude. I connected with you today. We're done. Meditation. I'm not a big reader. Some people like to read. I should say I'm not a big reader at bedtime. Gets the brain going for me. But there are multiple things that you can be doing at nighttime that will give you power, energy, focus, peace, and calmness. So I don't mean energy from like your hair's on fire. I mean energy from like, I feel good. I'm ready to go to bed. Not exhausted. I feel good. I'm ready to go to bed. And you go to bed in a place of peace. Ask yourself a question. I've shared this so many times. My kids, every night when we go to bed, lay in bed, what's the favorite part of your day? We have this conversation. What is the favorite part of your day? And we share what the favorite part of the day was. We talk about it. And we pray and we meditate. And we do an affirmation. It's one singular affirmation that they'd like to do because they've had some bad dreams before and they didn't like them. And so the one affirmation they want to do is, I dream sweet dreams. And they say it about 10 to 15 times. Sometimes I think it's 20 or 30 times. They put me to sleep saying it sometimes. But I dream sweet dreams. Right? So we have an affirmation that we do. We have our what's the favorite part of the day? We have prayer and we have meditation. And that's the end to our day. But it allows us to, and we snuggle and we laugh and we giggle, and it's like it's in the moment. We're being mindful of the moment. And if you take away anything from this discussion today, I hope the thing that you take away is the fact that most people are not living in being mindful. They're simply not being mindful of their actions on a daily basis. And so when you become distracted, you just kind of chalk it up as, yeah, you know, I just didn't get much done today. So you chalk it up as a non-productive day instead of realizing that your habits and your routines pushed you in that direction. And as soon as you're willing to shift those gears, be focused on something, you change your habits and routines. They have to be important enough to you to change. And that's why when you become mindful, you can catch these things almost instantly. So we've got morning routine, lunch routine, reflect and project end of day routine. Then we have our bedtime routine. And now we have midday snacks. Now, what the heck is a midday snack? A midday snack is something you would do at mid-morning, and it's something that you can do mid-afternoon. Quite frankly, you can do a snack anytime, folks. Think about this. I mean, we almost have you set up like meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then we've got these midday snacks that I can have. Why? Because if I get done with my morning routine at, say, 7 o'clock in the morning, I now have to go 5 hours until lunch. Anybody here ever get distracted in 5 hours? Anyone? Or am I the only one? All right. Yeah. Right. We all get distracted over a 5-hour period of time. So what you do is that you can set up snack times, and it literally becomes a reminder in your phone. It could be a reminder to get up and move around. It could be a reminder to do some deep breathing. It could be a reminder to start a new task. Again, I'm a scheduler, so I have reminders that are popping up all the time to keep me focused on next task to work on. Most people don't work this way. And so you could put reminders in your phone that simply say 10 o'clock every day, get up and walk. Like just get up and walk. And when you go for that walk, then it becomes an assessment again. What have I been producing on this morning? What have I done really well? What can I improve upon moving forward? How do I course correct if I'm off track right now? Can I accelerate what I'm doing right now? Is there an opportunity here for me to actually continue to accelerate what I'm doing? Is it time to move on to another task? So there are questions I can be asking in any one of these routines that we've talked about today. But then there's also the recognition of, so I have a question that I can ask, but then there's a recognition of my energy is off, so what can I do to get my energy on? Sometimes a question isn't good enough to get my energy on. So I have to be able to, okay, you know what, it's a walk. Or like I can tell you, I have a tendency, especially throughout the course of the week, a work week, it's meditation. At lunchtime, it's meditation. At the end of a day of coaching, it's meditation. It's like, it's my reset to go into the next phase of the day, the next thing that I want to work on. So for me, meditation is huge. I know it sounds silly, just walking out to the mailbox, especially when it's a sunny day. Like just getting up, and I walk around the house a lot. If I'm not on video coaching, I'm walking around the house. You can hear me, like you'll hear me, like walking up and down stairs. I'll step on Legos and toys and shit. But it's like, it's because I want to get some movement, because I know the movement helps me in being focused. And so I'll walk around, but when I don't have a call and it's time to go like do something, I'll go for a walk. And I'll walk outside now, feel the wind in my face. I'll take a few deep breaths. It's called being mindful. You take a few deep breaths and then come back inside, and guess what happens? Boom, it's a course correct. So the morning is a very involved routine, right? There's a lot to do in the morning. But then I get over here to the afternoon and I go, okay, well, now that I'm here in the mid-morning or in the afternoon, there's an opportunity for you here to grab a couple of extra tasks. Not a lot. Lunchtime, a couple extra tasks. Dinner time, none of this is involved as the morning is. All these other time frames are merely meant to help jumpstart you, course correct you, refocus you. You don't need to do 8 different activities at lunch. You don't need to do 8 different activities at dinner time. It's simply identifying the 1, 2, or 3 things that give you power. They reignite your focus and they help to get you back on track. When you start to realize that, you start to realize, okay, wait a minute. All right, dude is totally right. And I'm not the person who sits here and says like, I told you so or anything like that. I'm not here to be right. I'm here to open up a door for you to understand that you already have habits every single day that you're implementing between the time you get up and the time lunchtime comes around. And you already have a habit at lunch, and you already have a habit from lunch to the end of the day, and you already have a mid-afternoon habit, maybe 2 or 3 of them. You already have a habit at night before you go to bed. You already have habits. And what I'm trying to share with you is the opportunity for you to start focusing on new and improved habits to course correct your energy moving forward. That's it. Implementing these time frames throughout the course of your day into your schedule if you're a scheduler. Otherwise, you put them as reminders in your phone and you make sure that it's set to beep so that you hear it and it starts to remind you of, hey, be focused. Hey, be mindful. Hey, pay attention. Hey, where's your energy? I have a super cool app that I use now. It's an affirmation app, and it sends me 10 affirmations a day. And so all of a sudden, my phone will just randomly go off, and it's called I Am. So for anybody who wants this app, it's called I Am. Very simple. And I set it up for 10 affirmations in a day. And it's super cool. Like I go to the bathroom, come back, and my phone has sent me a message about I am. And you all know this has happened to you before. Sometimes you get those messages like, dang, that was spot on. How did my phone know I needed that message today? Right? It's so crazy. It happens to me when I read the Bible. I read the Bible, all of a sudden now like what I read all of a sudden pops up in conversation later. And it's like, really, dude? Where'd that come from? Like, has anybody else ever had that happen before too? Like, I know you have, right? Especially the Bible. It's happened with other things, but it seems like the Bible, it always happens. It's just like, okay, well, look at that. Who's in control around here? But again, what does that do? It forces you to be mindful yet again. So we have these snack times throughout the course of the day. And you know right now, you already know when in your morning, you already know when you get out of focus. So when you identify that time, you go 15 minutes before that time. Not on that time, you go 15 minutes before that time to start to shift your energy. And what would the task be that you want to do? What is the focus that you want to have? And again, using questions and actions, questions and actions. So there's 1, 2, or 3 things that I can do right now to refocus my energy. There's 1, 2, or 3 questions that I'm going to ask myself just to assess, where am I at right now? What's my challenge right now? What's my solution right now? Ooh, there's my solution. I like it. Do I stay with what I'm doing, or do I go on to the next task? Next task it is. Okay, cool. So I'm going to take 5 minutes right now, and I'm just going to do some deep controlled box breathing. In for 4 seconds, hold it for 2 seconds, or vice versa. Let it all the way out for 4 seconds and start over again and just do some box breathing. And I'm going to do that for 5 minutes. Maybe I'll do it for 90 seconds. There's a audio program. The name of the guy escapes me right now, but it's called the 90-second rule. Just 90 seconds of deep breathing. That's it. You just sit and do deep breathing for 90 seconds, and it will give you incredible energy. It feels fantastic if you're willing to do it. And what you'll find in the beginning is that you're probably taking too many breaths. That's what I found. And that's also what the instructor tells you in the audio is like, yeah, most people when they first do this, they take too many breaths. I thought I was killing it. And all of a sudden it's like, I think I had like 7 breaths or 8 breaths. And you're supposed to have like about half of that in 90 seconds. What I wasn't doing is I wasn't mindful of my breathing. I was just taking a big deep breath and holding it and letting it out, as opposed to taking a deep breath and visualizing it going through every single piece of my body, holding it, appreciating it, loving it, and letting it out in a very slow, controlled manner. You do that over 90 seconds and you probably see that you're taking maybe 3 or 4 breaths. It's incredibly peaceful. So, folks, that is, That's 5. That is 5 daily routines. We've got breakfast, lunch, end of day, bedtime, and your snacks. Those are 5 daily routines that you can implement on any given day. And you should implement on every given day. And if you're willing to do so, if you're looking for those of you who are new to this, people who are not wanting to show their faces, if you're new to this, it's incredibly important that you get going on a morning routine and you get power from that morning routine. For those of you who maybe you have a morning routine and you're looking for a little bit more power and energy from that, please reach out and let me know. I'm obviously more than happy to help you. But then there's the other side of this which says, okay, what would be the next thing? Right? Because like Brian, Janice, Mike, you guys do this. So like, what would be your next thing? What would be the next time? If I was to put a time in my day to say, yeah, I really need to start nailing this one because this is when I become out of focus. For you, that's where you go. You say, okay, where do I need to go to nail this down? I need to go here to nail this down. I need to go and start doing a lunchtime routine because I know that I'm not focusing at lunch, or I really need to nail this end of the day routine. Man, if I could just finalize my day and be done with it, I could go home and be clear at night. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's bedtime routine, staying up too late, watching too much TV, going to bed when you're tired, as opposed to a specific time every single day and I have a routine. What you would do is you would say, okay, I really need to assess where is it that I see my energy dipping the most through the course of a day? Where do I see that I'm becoming the most distracted? As we talked about willpower, where do I see my willpower starting to taper off through the course of the day? And what could I do to course correct that? So you think about this in terms of breakfast, a morning snack or an afternoon snack. That's the beauty of those things, is because as I start to see my energy tapering off with my willpower, if I can give it a boost, I can actually give it enough of a boost to end the day strong instead of going through the motions. Or I can end the morning strong instead of going through the motions. That's the beauty of the snacks, because the snacks give you that. It's just like if you eat a snack, right? You're tired, you're groggy, all of a sudden you go maybe get some water and have a piece of fruit and your energy goes through the roof. It's like, whoa, I needed that snack. Holy cow. Your mind needs a snack. It needs something to course correct it. So for everybody, it's a matter of identifying when is that. If you're not doing a morning routine yet, boom, that's where you start as morning routine. If you are doing a morning routine, then what you do is you pick the next best area to be working on. That next best area is going to be the one that you're going to put a ton of focus into over the course of the next 7 days. And again, whether you pick one thing, 2 things, or 3 things, it's super important that you simply pick it and stick with it. Oh, I'm going to do lunchtime. Cool. Then tomorrow at lunch, what are you going to do? And you make sure tomorrow at lunch you implement. It's that simple. Hey everyone, Dr. Troy Dukowitz here, and I want to thank you so much for being a part of the program 5 Daily Rituals to Increase Success Over Stress. And hopefully as you sit and watch this, you realize just how important this is throughout the course of a day. And it really helps you to get more structure around your life. It really helps you to make sure that you stay streamlined in the desired outcomes of what it is that you have day to day. And I'd like you to consider, what are you going to do next? Just answer that simple question. What are you going to do next? What can you take away from what I've shared over the course of the last 47 minutes and implement into your life right away? And do you see the value or benefit in that, and how it can help to increase your productivity, how it can help to increase your connection, how it can help to increase your bottom line in business, how it can help to increase maybe your connection to spouse or children or even your own health? If you can see any of the benefits across the page there, then you realize the importance of following through with what we've talked about here today. Now, my hopes are this. I would love to be with you on that journey. I would love to take you through this process over the course of the next 60 days, not just in the 5 rituals, but in the identification of what your targets are, what your goals are over the next 60 days, and we work together to get you there. So we're going to be implementing some of the daily rituals and routines. We're also going to be focusing on the action steps that are necessary to help you to hit your goals in the next 60 days. What I've done is I put together a group program. That's right. Group coaching over the course of the next 2 months. What that means is it means that we're going to have an opportunity to work together with a live group call every single week, with our own personal Facebook page where you can ask questions and get input. You'll have the ability to reach out to me via email and through Facebook. You'll also have on-demand videos on the 5 rituals that we've talking about today that are broken down, and on-demand videos on the core 4 that we talked about at the beginning, on-demand videos on how to schedule in under 10 minutes, a tutorial on how to schedule in under 10 minutes. You also have the opportunity to get a tracking device that we use, a positive tracking device, which is the journal, the daily journal that you can use to track your progress on a day-to-day basis to do your end-of-day reviews, your reflects, and your projects. All of these things are included in this program. And look, I'm not going to do the whole breakdown here for you. I know you're supposed to. That's what they teach you. I'm not going to do the whole breakdown. What I can tell you is just for my coaching alone on an individual basis, once a week, is in excess of $1,200. So you're having an opportunity to dive in with other people and work together in a community to create strength, to create production, and to create, hitting your targets and calmness and peace along the way. So if this interests you, I want to extend this offer to you, where basically what it is you can get the entire program, 2 months worth, for one investment of $497, or we can break it into 2 payments for you, which becomes $297 a month. That investment is, I think, just by what I've shared with you, you can see that investment is a minimal investment for the time, effort, and energy that I will be putting into supporting you on this journey over the course of the next 2 months. So I truly, truly hope that you'll take me up on this offer. All you have to do is reply to the email. I want in, and I'm gonna send you the registration so we can get rolling. We're gonna have an onboarding call. This is the bonus, an onboarding call where we literally sit down and identify what your goals and targets are over the course of the next 60 days, and we discuss the obstacles that can get in the way. So we can start to knock down those obstacles immediately so you can hit your goals in the next 60 days. So look, all you gotta do, again, send me an email, I'm in, and I'll roll the registration right your way so we can get started. That's all I've got for you here today. Thank you so much again for being a part of this program. I love you, I honor you, I appreciate you. Now let's get to work. Bye-bye.